Okay, we're going to move on and talk through some of the questions that our members have submitted. Both of our captains, Roddy, the captain of North Berwick, and Alan McCaskill, the captain of Tintagel, have gone through with a very fine tooth comb and looked at all of the questions, and they've highlighted their top 2 or 3 questions that they felt were the most important questions to ask you at this stage. So I might have to read them to you, and then I look forward to hearing your response, just as all of the members are looking forward to hearing it as well.
Go ahead.
So these are the questions that, first of all, Brodie has selected on behalf of the North Berwick members. North Berwick Links is an important habitat for wildlife, and it has a range of plant species. How do you envisage taking forward the environmental work the club has already started?
Yeah, well, I think it's important, especially nowadays. You know, a link should be a sustainable environment. So I think it's important that we're not just concentrating too much on tee to green. So, for example, in the out of play areas, I think there is a lot of scope there. First of all, I think to thin out the more rank grasses that are currently at home there, and the heavier rough. We can introduce there, I think, a grassland management programme which will thin out these areas. First of all, what this will do for us is it will speed up play around the golf course for any balls that are shooting left or shooting right, and this can be done in such a sustainable manner that before we actually get in there with any mowers, we will check for any nesting birds. In the further out of play areas, I think there's also scope for introducing some wildflower, some bees, some butterflies that comes with insects, and we have recently just applied to be part of the Operation Pollinator programme. So what happens here is they will come in and they will assess our site for the viability of where to put some wildflowers. Wildflowers obviously will attract the butterflies and the bees, and you know that's all very important obviously for the food chain there. I think not only will it enhance the biodiversity obviously as it will do the site, but I think that will give the site some colour, and as I said, it will bring a more sustainable angle to our practices on the golf course. I think sort of moving out towards the dunes, you know, we have to be very careful there as well when we're doing any restoration work for any nesting sand martins as well. And as the questionnaire, if you like, rightly said, we have already started. We've got a foothold in the environmental work that we've done, and we're actually a GEO certified golf course currently. So what that entails, there's 3 parts to it. So there's nature, there's resource, and there's community. So the nature part we've just covered. The resource part, that's very much on the side of, you know, being careful with water, a reduction in pesticides, a reduction in fertilisers, not only a reduction in water I should say, but perhaps the way we water. You know, one of our main tasks this winter will be, or towards the start of spring, will be to do a full audit to see how efficient our irrigation system is working. You know, do we need to be watering out of play areas, you know, and things like that. And the GEO function on the website that actually gives us a sort of database dashboard where when we fill in all this data, it enables the course manager to get visual information out to the wider membership about all the work that we're going to be doing. So there's a lot of work that we can do on that side of things, and it's work we're looking forward to.
What's your thoughts of engaging with the community aspect of this? Yeah,
I think that's something we've done at Montrose as well. We got kids from local primary schools in. You know, we taught them about golf etiquette, you know, the rules of golf, you know, the game itself, and greenkeeping. that's certainly an opportunity that we can start here, a programme we can start here. Also, I think there's initiatives that, if we're going to do sort of any more marram planting on the dunes for stabilisation, then it'd be good maybe to get the kids from local schools involved in that as well.
Okay, thank you. So there's been many questions about greens, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
It is the most talked about part of a golf course, I think. A lot of questions about green speeds. So it's going to be interesting to get your thoughts on green speeds and the whole stimp.
Yeah.
What are the greens running at?
Yeah.
That is the most important question
Yeah, of course
for
it is.
a lot of our members. So, from your perspective, what is the journey that you want to go on with the greens, and what's your thoughts about the importance of green speeds stimping? Is it really just about the speed? Is it about firmness? Is it about trueness? Share your thoughts with us.
Well, I think I alluded to it earlier on. Everything is linked. So if we can, our vision here at North Berwick here is to reintroduce the fine perennial poverty grasses, as we call them, the bents and especially the fescues. Now, if we are going to do that, we're going to enter into a rigorous overseeding programme, a rigorous top dressing programme. Now, what this will do naturally, I should say, is produce fine, true, consistent and pacey surfaces. I think we need to sort of get away from what is generally considered the quickest way to speed up greens, and that is double cut, double roll, low heights of cut. All we're doing there is inviting pressure into the golf, the putting green environment. We're going to increase the mortality rate of the grass plant there, spend more fertiliser bringing them back, more seed to fill the gaps left behind. It's a very unsustainable way of trying to achieve green speed. So the actual species exchange programme that we are going to be entering into will be somewhat of a slow burner, there's no doubt about that, but they are fescue and bent grass greens, especially fescue, are synonymous with the quickest, with the truest, with the most consistent, which I think is important, greens across the world. I think in terms of, to answer the question more directly, I think of in terms of the speed of the greens, it's vitally important that we maintain that speed from the first tee to the last tee, and that's something that the slow-growing perennial grasses such as fescue can deliver. So we need to go through this journey of pushing out the amount of poanya and ryegrass, unfortunately, that's already in the greens, and replace that with a gentle sleight of hand, it should be said as well, because managing fescue greens is not easy. We should be able to do that with sensible heights of cut, sensible mowing practices, and very little on the rolling side, and I'm confident that, in the links environment that we can provide that.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from North Berwick. You've talked very much about the greens, and I know that we're going to be adding a few little videos to this particular interview to further explain some of the elements of the botanical composition of the greens. We're going to talk a little bit more about organic matter, or what people might know better as thatch, and the impact of all of these things and trying to achieve what we want to achieve. But let's park the greens to one side for a moment. What are the other important aspects of the course that you think need time and attention? For example, the rough, the bunkers, the high weir areas. What's your plans and thoughts, teas, for these areas going forward?
I think our members that have already been out there will see that we've done, I wouldn't say a lot of work, but we've certainly started making inroads into quite a lot of the areas you just mentioned there, Elaine. Can go through them. Like I said, the approaches, the idea here is to open the approach complexes right out, taking in the bunkers, so the bunkers are collecting any of the balls, make that much more of a links game in and around introducing a different strategy of a way of playing the hole. This then, our intention here that we're going to take the course, our vision is to take the course from green into the tee, and the only thing that's going to be changing will be the heights of cut. So our intention here is to create a golf course which flows, and as I say, we'll not want to be going from, I think in so many areas it's sort of from an 8mm cut to 45mm cut to 60mm cut. The idea here is for it to be a lot more gentle. Moving on to the tees, it's pretty obvious that a lot of the tees are needing drastically sort of re-levelled, the direction pointed slightly to the right, slightly to the left. This year we've made inroads, we've made plans, I should say, to make inroads at the 5th tee and the 10th tee. A completely re-levelling project, taking the stairs away from the right hand side of the 5th tee, bringing that round and softening the gradient there, making it a little bit more easier, and a path at the left hand side there. That will take away, as was mentioned there, the propensity for the high wear areas down at 4, leading to from the green to the tee. You know, it'll take away that issue there by directing the traffic up and over the 5th tee. And then again at the 10th tee, there's huge drainage problems here, just with a slight amount of rain down at 10. I think there's poor construction material under that. So the idea will be to lift 300mm of the root zone currently and replace that with some free draining material, take away the path in the middle, redirect that behind, perhaps some strategically placed marram grass, and again direct the traffic back down that slope. And I think we've got a lot going on with the tees. Bunkers, again, just started that actually this week. I think in the past there's just been partial rebuilds of the event, and we're going to change the way we construct them in terms of the thickness of the turf, so they're a lot more stable in there. You know, and I think the bunker sand needs to be looked at as well. I think historically there's been medium fines, there's been coarse sand placed over medium fine sand. It's not a great mix there, you know. I would be looking to reintroduce the indigenous free medium fine sand that's in there. That my first week actually we spent maybe about 45-50 man hours in the bunkers, just reshaping, firming up and getting that concave shape back into the bunkers. Highway areas such as the tee, from the 4th tee to the 4th green, it's a notorious bottleneck. You know, the modern day cultivars of dwarf ryegrass, you know, they've got high wear, you know, and they've got a quick recuperative potential in there as well. So, you know, it's about fusing the sort of traditional greenkeeping practices with the availability of these new cultivars that are coming in, and will serve a purpose on the links. They have a fine blade of grass, and you really need to squint to differentiate between, in some areas, the fescue and the dwarf rye. So they can certainly serve a purpose in there as well.
I visited quite a lot of courses this year, and I have rough envy when I visit these courses and I see the beautiful fringing roughs and the long wispy purple fescue grasses that make up these roughs. What's your plans for the rough at North Berwick? Yeah, that's one of the major priorities that we've got going on. I think I touched on it earlier as well. So the idea here will be to get there's 2 pieces of equipment, an Amazon and a Super 500. And what this will effectively do is we mow the grass, and it's very important, I should say, that we collect the grass clippings afterwards to reduce the nutrient availability in the soil. Now, if we were just to mow that down and leave that grass there, all the nutrients are returned to the soil, and that effectively just encourages Yorkshire fogs, ryegrass, etc. All the grasses, thick pasture grasses that we don't want in there. So the idea here will be to cut, collect, scarify, blow, and keep that process going. It's important to point out, I think, that I talk about a slow burner with the species exchange programme. Now, the grassland management
that can take, up to 5 years if I'm honest, but the end result will be, as you mentioned just there, if you can just imagine the Open Championship, some of the footage you see, you just see the whisper off just blowing in the rough there. It's well worth the effort doing. I think the idea there would be, first of all, obviously to concentrate on those in-play areas of the rough where the balls are flying into, and then gradually we branch out, because I think it's important to remember it's not just about playability, it's also about the aesthetics of the golf course as well, so we'll be looking to improve that.
Fantastic. Very disappointed. I'm sure at the interview stage you told us all that the course would be transformed in about 2 weeks. And like say 5 years.
I've got there in the week.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on now, Darren, and look at the questions that Alan McCaskill, the captain of Tintagel, has selected from his members. Now you can tell Alan works in the newspaper industry, because this is going to feel a little bit more like an investigative interview.
Okay.
Some really good questions here, some really probing questions. The first question, from a conditioning perspective, what area of the course do you believe requires the biggest amount of attention? And is there a course in the UK that you feel has the gold standard for maintenance and conditioning? And what course sort of would that be?
Okay, I think regardless of the course or the indeed the condition of the course, I think any course manager worth his salt would start on the greens. That's where the game is won and lost after all. So that's where we start. We start on the greens when we feel we're making the progress that that we're looking to make. Then we start working backwards. That's not to mean that other areas are not being worked on. Of course, it doesn't. We're working on all surfaces, but certainly the main focus to begin with starts on the greens. In terms of a golf course, I would like to benchmark North Berwick against, and I think we should only be benchmarking myself against the very best. From the area of Scotland that I've just came down from, I would walk Carnoustie Championship quite regular with the dog, and the condition of Carnoustie Championship and the other two courses there are just fantastic. The bunkering in my opinion is second to none. The fringe rough is fantastic as well. So for me it's Carnoustie that I would like to aspire the condition of our golf course to be similar to, and I think, as I said, I think we should be benchmarking ourselves against the likes of the Open Championship golf courses without a doubt.
Okay, and how do you create that vision or impart the best elements of Carnoustie or the best elements of Royal County Down or the best elements of Turnberry? How do you impart that to the rest of your team? What's your thoughts about education for the rest of the course team or placements?
Yeah, well, education is, as you know, Elaine, is huge to me. I've been lucky enough to do my qualification at Elmwood in the HNC, and then going on to Myerscough to do the degree in soil science here. So education is a huge part, both in theory and a practical sense. I would love, for our guys, to have the opportunity perhaps to do some sort of exchange programme at the courses you mentioned, and I think in this day and age, these sort of arrangements, they're not hard to make. A lot of course managers are very accommodating. We actually have a young Elmwood student coming down in December called Rory Paul, a contact of a friend of mine, and he's interested in coming down and seeing the work that's going on here down at North Berwick. He's just finished his HND, I believe. So all these things, it's networking and finding out how different guys are doing different things. And I think if you think you're the finished article in this industry, whether you're a course manager or whether you're a green staff member, then it's not the attitude to take, because every day is a school day in this job. So.
Indeed it is, probably more so in the current climate than ever before, that's for sure. Thank you. Slightly sort of different direction for this question, and I think it's a really good question to ask. As members, we want to help and play our part as we recognise the long-term benefits of what we need to achieve. Is there anything that you think members can do to help you and the course team out when they're out on the golf course?
Yeah, I think to start with the basics, you know, the first sort of short memo that I've put out to the members is about pitch mark repair. I can't overstate the importance for a variety of reasons for pitch mark repair. You know, the most obvious one, you know, is the smoothness, the trueness of the greens. You know, without the assistance of our members and indeed visitors, then we're not going to get to the levels that we hope to be getting to in the not too distant future. So the big one for me, certainly, if a member could just take time out, you know, to fix 2 or 3 pitch marks, it would be a huge, you know, not only in the condition of the greens, which is an obvious one, but it's less time that I'm asking green staff to spend on tasks like that. You know, apart from that, you know, the sort of basics like replacing divots, you know, and being careful the way we come out of bunker, although there's no rakes available at the moment. Obviously, picking up broken tees, I have to say, is a very, very, very time-consuming part of our job now. You know, I don't think there's many worse things than walking up to a tee and seeing, you know, the tees strewn with broken tees there. So, you know, we do have the tee boxes on the surface area of the tee box area. So, you know, if we could have the members just pick up the broken tee and put it in the wee boxes, that would certainly help. It's not just the aesthetics there. You know, if the green staff was to miss a broken tee there, and it does hit the cylinder blade and bottom cylinder and bottom blade, then that knocks it off cut straight away, and that's time spent in the workshop. So, you know, everything has every action has a reaction there. So, I think sort of moving forward next year, I would love to see a sort of programme that I had at previous golf course at Montrose, whereby, in our case at the time, it was some of the seniors was coming in and doing a spot of divoting twice a week. It was something I think they enjoyed, and certainly I enjoyed, because it gave me a chance to meet face to face with a lot of the members. And well, the reason I say it, I think they enjoyed it because more and more seemed to come. We ended up with a lot more at the end than we did at the start.
Was that because of the biscuits in the mess room? Or?
Could have been, but you know, I'm trying to sell this here. So. No, it's you know, I thoroughly enjoyed meeting face to face interaction with our members, and as I say, you know, that would take a lot of pressure off the green staff and allow them to concentrate on the detailed stuff, you know, and improving the botanical nature of our surfaces. So.
Final question from Tintalin, and it is a great question because it's something that will resonate with all of us. We've all got a favourite hole on this golf course. Some of us have probably got several favourite holes. In fact, all 18 holes will probably be up there for most of us. But what is your favourite hole on the golf course and why? You know,
the run of 13, 14, 15 gets a lot of good publicity for obvious reasons. But I'm going to say 14, probably not for the reason you would expect. Obviously, I've just had a little boy, and I don't know why, but in the past couple of weeks where I've been coming over the sort of top of the hill and down, and looking down at 14 perfection, I'm just thinking about my wee boy for whatever reason, and that's my favourite hole in the golf course, and I can't see that changing anytime soon.
Well, I think if that particular hole reminds you of Aaron, then it's always going to stay there, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to finish off this session now, Darren, with a quick fire round of questions that I've selected, just to get a bit of flavour of who you are a little bit more. So not too much time to think about an answer, I just want an immediate response.
Okay.
What's your handicap?
Don't have one.
Okay. Do you understand the new world handicapping system?
Actually, yes I do, yeah.
Do you?
I think so.
Members, if you have any questions for the WHS, please read it out to Darren because nobody else understands it.
Course manager at northberwickgolfclub.com.
Perfect, thank you for that. Would you go for percentage play off the tee or bomb it with the driver?
Bomb it.
Rugby or football?
Football.
Football team.
Ayr United.
Who?
You know,
Is it not Ayr United nil?
Ayr United.
Okay. Favourite golf course?
North Derry.
Groomers or brushers or both?
Brushes.
Okay. Best part of your role?
Delegation.
Worst part of your role?
Delegation.
They say the West Coast is the best coast.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Quick question for you, Elaine.
Okay.
Were you a greenkeeper in your previous life?
I wasn't. Do you think that's my true vocation?
I think you're fit right in.
That's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Well, hopefully everybody has found this useful. I think it's really important that although we missed the opportunity to welcome Darren formally to the golf club, Darren's really keen to meet you all out on the golf course. So if you do have a question or you do want to chat to Darren, then please go and speak to him on the golf course. It's really important that we all embrace the journey that we're moving towards, and we're certainly all in it together. So it's all about teamwork.